Looks like a storm's brewing outside.
Hey everyone, Brad here. I just got back from the bouldering gym, and I thought while I had a chance, I'd make a small video about a nifty workout tool that a friend turned me on to when we went to the Ozark bouldering gym a couple weeks back. It is a
Rice bucket. Just a bucket of rice. There's nothing fancy or magical about it.
This is a tool I actually knew about, but I completely forgot. Ross Enamite is where I first heard about it. I heard about it on Ross Enamite's website, Ross Boxing or RossTraining.com, and he was talking about it from the boxers, fighters perspective, and it's a really useful tool for boxers, fighters, martial artists, as well as climbers, or anybody who is going to be making making use of their hands a lot. But really, it's good for anybody, and we'll see why here in a second.
The use that it has for climbers, fighters, basically anybody who uses their hands, because we tend to do a lot of this, and even when we're training and we think about training our grip, we do a lot of the same motions. We use grippers, we do curls, we do a lot of grab. We do the obvious stuff. We train our grip, but we don't think about the muscles on the other side of our hand. We don't think about the muscles on the back. And as anybody who's been in fitness for a long time knows, you need to be balanced. If I train all the muscles on this side, it can lead to problems. It can lead to more mass in my hand on this side, more strength, and it'll lead to some problems because there will be an imbalance in the muscle mass or in the strength. So we need a way to balance the other side, and that is where the rice bucket comes in, at least in one way. For martial artists, it actually serves a second purpose, a really old purpose. And I'm going to do something here real quick that you don't have to do, but I do because I try to be a clean person when I can. And a great thing about this tool in particular is that you can use it when you're just sitting around, maybe on a rest day, doing stuff like me. I'm rewatching Ninja Warrior. It's my favorite. But what I've done is I've put a glove on. It's a little gloves we use in labs at school, and I use it because this rice is, you get all that dust everywhere, and the rice has a chance of flying out as it is. I would try to reduce that by keeping the level down about 4 or 5 inches, but the dust still gets everywhere. You can see a little bit of it there, so we try to reduce that, and also you don't want it getting underneath your fingernails. So what it's used for training the back of your hand, you're going to make what in Kung Fu is called a crane fist. You're just going to bring your fingers together like that, and you're going to hit down real hard, try to go as deep as you can, and then while your hand is deep in the rice, you're just going to expand your fingers out, and then pull it out. So basically what it's doing is going in. You want to get nice and deep. You want your cat to not get in the way. You want to go in nice and deep. Now while it's in there, expand your fingers out. Try not to pull it out too much, because the deeper you go, the more resistance you're going to get. I'm kind of shallow right there, so this is pretty easy to do right that. And but the deeper you go, the more weight you've got bearing down on your fingers. Should be pretty obvious. And the more resistance you'll get. And you want to leave it in there so that you fight. You can dig in like this too if you want, if you find that the piercing is a bit too much or too messy. So you can burrow it in like that, and then you want to expand them, holding your hand in place as best you can, and then pull it up like that, keeping the muscles in the backs of your hand as contracted as possible. And I do about I was able to do 4 sets of 20 before it got really straining. And that's about right. This isn't a heavy lift or anything like that. You're going to do high reps. It's not about making these muscles necessarily, like heavy weightlifting strong. It's just about developing strength in them enough to kind of offset the higher use of these muscles here. I'm seriously going to bury you in this rice. Go away. Yeah. So now, that's a use that anybody can use, even if you're not big into physical training or fighting or climbing or anything like that, because most of us nowadays are using computers, and a lot of us use them at our jobs,
and we tend to do a lot of this, a lot of typing, and our hands still do that motion. We're still developing maybe not as much strength, but a lot of muscle memory in these muscles in particular, and it can lead to, like over time, it can lead to arthritis or cramping. It can lead to a number of problems if that balance is not made. So now the second use for this is, for martial artists in particular, is for developing the more sensitive isn't really the word, but the more fragile striking appendages, like the fingertips.
That's the one we're going to be looking at today. In Hojo Undo, that's the supplementary exercises in karate, they call this a jaribako. And it's a practice in Chinese martial arts as well, I just don't know what they call it. Karate in particular is known for using dried rice. I'm sure the Chinese use that as well. They're also known for using mung beans, gravel, and steel shot for the higher levels. And what we're going to do to train our fingertips for spear hand strikes or pressure point application, things like that, is we're just going to make a proper spear hand. For some it might be like this, but we're going to try and keep it like this. You'll see here why in a second. And I don't have to apply very much strength at all. I can do it from a seated position like I am here. I'm just going to pierce as deep as I can go. You can get the same application doing the crane fist like we did before, but when you make a spear hand like this, there's a lot less resistance, because if I'm going like that, there's not as much fighting me on the other sides. Whereas if I'm like this, my hand, that muscle right there, kind of gets in the way. Same reason we can't really do like a tiger claw, or you can't do that if you want to train the individual fingers. And you're more than welcome to do that if you're just starting off, but this is going to make a very shallow pierce because the rice is blocking my palm before my fingers can go as deep as they can handle. This is really the best way I have found so far, just experimenting myself. And I'm just getting comfortable wherever I want to go and going as deep as I can. It's really good because you can check your form. You can't see it obviously, but sometimes if I miss, my fingers will veer off this way or this way, showing that I didn't have it quite as straight as I could have. And it's not painful at all. If you keep at it long enough, you want to work your way up to tougher material like gravel or steel shot or something like that. But the rice is really good to start off with because I can go pretty deep and hit a stopping point pretty naturally without injuring myself. But you can feel the difference when you go at it for a long time. I mean, I can't speak from experience because I just started this type of training, but I'm going again to go here. That was a pretty good one. I got pretty deep, but even still, if I am rough, I'm going to turn in just to see how deep I went. Yeah, I only went about halfway into the bucket that time, so my goal would be to just keep at it with both hands, obviously, until I can go down to the bottom of the bucket. Yeah, right now I'm only getting about here. So I've got a ways to go. And like I said, it's a really simple exercise you can do for a lot of reps to really perfect your technique and develop the fingers for striking. And yeah, it's a really inexpensive and really useful tool for really anybody, but martial artists especially. So yeah, if you have a couple of bucks to spare, this is 20 pounds of rice. You get it in a single bag. I don't know the volume of this bucket, but I mean, just go to Walmart or whatever store you want, and you get a bucket about that size. So yeah,